Welcome to Frankly Speaking. My name is Onkgopotse JJ Tabane. We're coming to you live from SABC here in Auckland Park in Johannesburg. And my guest tonight is the Public Protector Advocate Busisiwe Mukweba. She's been in the news. Just last week, the court had some harsh words to say about her and, over the controversial case related to the Reserve Bank and ABSA. She's going to talk to us about that and many other issues related to her office tonight. Is there a question mark over the integrity of her office? Or are we being unfair by constantly comparing her to her predecessor and so on? She is here in our studios tonight and we'll be having that frank dialogue with her shortly. You know, today I thought I should reflect on the debates in Parliament. Man. You know, we've gotten so much used to mediocrity when it comes to the quality of debates in our Parliament. And this week, 3 MPs really raised the bar and restored my own faith in this institution and what it can achieve. Floyd Chivambu of the EFF, John Steenhuisen of the DA, Naledi Pandor, Minister of Science and Technology, really lifted the bar in their response to the State of the Nation address. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
Our program of international policy and practice has been significantly strengthened by the 54th Conference of the African National Congress. The majority party has agreed that government must cut diplomatic ties with Israel, given the absence of genuine initiatives by Israel to secure lasting peace and a viable two-state solution that includes full freedom and democracy for the Palestinian people.
We must learn the lessons of how Zuma was able to capture the state, subjugate our parliament, and tame our institutions. One man could never wreak such devastation on his own. So while you set to work, Mr. President, on fixing the executive, we as parliament must introspect very honestly and very carefully about how we fix our parliament and address its failings over the last 8 years to effect oversight. We must firewall this parliament and our institutions to protect them from this ever happening again. In this blush of new dawn, we mustn't be lulled into complacency or hypnotized and charmed into naivety.
The Gupta criminal syndicate has shifted billions of rands out of South Africa. It's a fact. SARS is failing to collect revenue in the manner in which is expected. A shortfall of 50 billion rands, as was announced here. The National Prosecutions Authority is dysfunctional. It works according to who is in political office. They only make arrests now that Jacob Zuma is no more. So it means that this NPA has got eyes. It looks as to who is the political principal. And what assurance do we have that it is not going to do the same thing if you ever commit crime?
I've got a lot of time for these three. I mean, if President Ramaphosa could pick these to be in his cabinet, I tell you, we're getting somewhere. You can follow the show, of course, on hashtag Frankly Speaking. But tonight, you can also give us a ring on 011-714-8052. You can tweet us at JJ Tabane at SABC News Online. Somebody who must be held to high standards, indeed, is the Public Protector, Busisiwe Mukweba. Come, let's go and talk frankly to her. Welcome, Advocate. Thank you, please. Welcome, and thank you so much for agreeing to speak to us. Your office has been fantastic in setting this up, and I really appreciate that.
Thank you for inviting me, and I'm also representing my office and my staff. We appreciated that you're giving us this opportunity as well. Yeah,
you know, once we said that you're coming to talk to us, you saw on social media people really just expressing disquiet about your office, saying that, no, she's not independent. And how does that make you feel? It seems to be a terrible scorecard in a sense, you know, in terms of just the general perception of your office. How does that make you feel?
I must say that it's easy to comment without as well hearing the other side of the story, because, I mean, it's easy, yes, to read whatever you read in the media, in social media. So I'm here to set the record straight and as well to clarify issues which people are not happy with, because at the end of the day, it's a lot of untruth in what people are saying.
Well, let's hear about that. Let's start with just what do you consider some of the big highlights of your office? I think you've been in office now, what, 18 months, thereabout?
Almost.
You know,
yes.
so if you were to pick one or two big issues that you would say, these things define the successes of your tenure so far, what would those be?
I must say, as an office, we adopted the Vision 2023. It has 8 pillars, which has been mainstreamed into our strategic plan. Those 8 pillars are focusing more on the grassroots, issues of using our indigenous languages when we engage with the public, issues of using your community radio stations to educate people about the office, also issues relating to MOUs, which we enter with various institutions where we can make sure that we allow access to our services because we don't have the resources to expand our footprint as an office. I must say that there's one of the biggest highlights of the MOU, the settlement agreement we signed with the City of Cape Town regarding the Masiphumelele community, where the executive mayor is working with the community, the Human Rights Commission, the public protector, I'm the mediator there. The city is working very hard to at least make sure that people of Masiphumelele have a habitable environment to live in. As a team, we've finalized more than 13,000 cases or complaints, which are bread and butter issues. And
these were lodged during your tenure, or you found some of them as backlog?
In fact, I must say they were lodged during my tenure. Remember, those which were a backlog, around 4,000, were the carryover. Total of the cases which we've dealt with or we've received so far is 18,000. But then out of that, we've dealt with 13,000, we've resolved them. And I must say it's bread and butter issues.
And any big cases that you would say, these are like your signature cases, you've been there for 18 months, we can't say you are new anymore. Is there a big case that you say, this one has shifted the ground in as far as the work you're doing is concerned?
There's a lot of big cases which I've done. To me, is the issue of the grassroots, the poor of the poorest, who have, as an office, we are there as their safe haven. A lot of the reports I've issued is around 40 reports, formal reports, JJ, and unfortunately, people pick and choose only few of those cases.
What's the general theme of those cases? Are we in trouble as a country in as far as corruption is concerned, for example? Would that constitute the majority of those cases, those 40 cases that you pronounced on?
It does, especially the ones relating to procurement-related issues, because you'd find that there's a lot of wasteful, fruitless expenditure, I mean, as well, not following the PFMA, also government spending a lot of money unnecessarily, where you'd find that prices are even being very high and the government is just paying. So we do have those. But again, I must say that we still have a lot of challenge of our accounting officers following the laws up to the T, especially when it comes to issues of procurement.
Okay, it's an interesting one. We'll come to it now. After the break, I want to talk to you about the lowlights, where you think, here I really have stuffed up. We're going to talk about that after the break. If you've just joined us, we're talking to Advocate Busisiwe Mukhwebana. Let's take a break. After the break, we continue that conversation. You are on Frankly Speaking. We're coming to you live from Auckland Park here in Johannesburg. My guest tonight, the Public Protector, Advocate Busisiwe Mukhwebana. You can give us a ring on 011-714-0852 if you want to join this conversation. Advocate, what are the things in these 18 months where you say, here I have stuffed up, really I got it wrong? What would those be, Advocate?
I wouldn't say I got it wrong, but I would say I I should have focused more on, especially direct communication with the public and educating them more on what the office can do, especially utilizing the direct communication with them, using social media more, where we can communicate, we can educate, and be able to make sure that cases or complaints are reported to the institution. We are also assisting in making sure that we eradicate issues relating to maladministration, where we will have citizenry who will be able to make sure that they hold the public servants to account as and when they feel that the public servants are not doing what they are supposed to be doing.
Anything else? That sounds like quite basic, and in fact, it's something that probably you should do more in terms of being an advocate for anti-corruption, taking some of the lessons from your cases, communicating with the public. But other than that, you don't think there's anything? I mean, there's a lot of noise about your proximity to the president, for example. Is there something you could have done different in terms of how your office communicated with the office of the president, so that you are not seen as being too cozy with the president, especially the former president?
I don't know where that comes from, because, I mean, I met the president after my appointment, and after that, I only met the president during when there's official state visits, but not meeting the president. The only people I met in the president's office are the officials of the presidency, the legal advisor of the president. And I should be working with the presidency because the Executive Members Ethics Act requires me that I must investigate executives and finalize those matters within 30 days. Therefore, if I don't do that, I normally write to the president. I've received a complaint against
in the normal course of your work, in a sense.
And I didn't manage to finalize the matter in 30 days. Therefore, as soon as the report is ready, I'll send it. Therefore, engaging with the office of the president
is part and parcel of
my responsibilities, because the presidency was also worried that we receive a lot of those. We need to take stock. How many of those letters you wrote, how many have you finalized, how many are still outstanding? If I
can just come in there, though, the court last week had very harsh words for you, in as far as you declaring that you went to present or met with the presidency twice, right, before the report was out, and you didn't offer the same opportunity to the other parties. Please clarify that, because that sounded, like an indictment on your office not to have declared to the court that you have had those meetings, if it was all above board, Advocate?
One of the meetings with the presidency, the legal advisor, was relating exactly to what I'm saying. Issues relating to the Executive Members Ethics Act. How can we make sure that we deal with those issues relating to the Public Protector rules? Because they've been also saying, when are you publishing the Public Protector rules?
But was it an omission that you didn't tell that to the court? The court
that was not necessary for this case.
It was not necessary.
I disclosed the one which was relating to the Section 7(9).
So are you going to appeal that decision? Because it's quite a damning judgment that you seem to be not honest to the court about who you met, who you didn't meet.
I'm still taking legal advice. I'll be meeting with the senior counsel, and then we will determine whether I appeal or only focus on the whole report or the whole judgment, or only focus on the personal. We'll
come back to the rest of the judgment a little later. But Mr. Du Plessis has a question for you. Mr. Du Plessis from Klerksdorp. Hello, Mr. Du Plessis.
Hello, yes. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm okay.
Good evening to you. What is your question to the Public Protector?
I would like to know from the Public Protector, what is stopping them from arresting Ace Magashule, Gigaba, and all the cronies in the ANC that's been proven?
Oh, we lost Mr. Du Plessis there. But I think the case, one of the cases you've declared on was the Estina. Apparently, there was if you like, a mild finding that did not point a serious finger at MEC, the then MEC Zwane, the Premier. We saw the Hawks searching the Premier's office there not so long ago, etc. Summarize for me your findings on Estina. in line with what Mr. du Plessis is asking?
I would say to Mr. du Plessis, the complaint which the Public Protector received in 2013 was relating to the administrative part of the way Estina agreement was entered into, the way Estina was conducting its business, especially being an implementing agent, on the other hand, procuring directly the inflated prices. So the complaint by the DA was relating to all those. I would urge South Africans to read that report, because I've detailed what was the exact complaint by the DA, and it's what has been investigated. There's no way in the complaint where it's saying we suspect that Minister Zwane, when he was the MEC, or the Premier has done the following. It all
But
pointed...
in summary, for those who are not going to go through a 400-page report, there's no fault with Zwane and Magashule? That's the question that du Plessis wants to know.
No.
Those two
in that particular report, there's nothing which was relating to what I've investigated.
I see.
But then I would say to Mr. du Plessis, the DA and CASAC has taken that report on review. And I'm glad as well that it's on review. And I'm glad that the court will, in fact, in the proceedings, we will also avail the record, so that they can see themselves what was the complaint, what we've investigated, what is the record which we have as an institution.
Let me go back to the case a little bit. Part of that case that has to do with ABSA and so on brought into focus the whole issue of private sector corruption and how that can influence public sector corruption. Do you think you're a bit overzealous, right, in trying to create that balance to a point where you ended up giving remedial action that was actually out of the scope of your mandate? I mean, you're instructing Parliament to change the law, something that the courts found that was not within your mandate. Address beyond that. How did you get that wrong?
I must say that the judgment by Judge Murphy, which at any rate was not supposed to even go there, because I agreed to set aside that particular remedial action, which is 7.2. And remember again, that remedial action was falling within my scope. But the thing is, the remedial actions of the Public Protector are binding unless set aside by the court of law. Therefore, in that particular instance, what I've learned from that particular process was that if there's a recommendation which I would want to make, but I need to be very upfront to say this recommendation, it's not binding, but then it's something which needs to be taken into account.
But you are right that you got it wrong in that you lumped it as part of the remedial action, and therefore it could have been binding on Parliament, something that's out of your scope. And
again, it's one thing. I should have allowed that process to go ahead. I mean, one interesting part was the judgment on state of capture judicial review, because legally, again, there was an issue of saying, can the Public Protector instruct the President where the President is conflicted, and where the President is the President in terms of the Constitution, Section 84, only the President can appoint the Commission of Inquiry.
I'll come back to the state of capture, because interestingly, when you started office, you said this was not going to be your priority, but I want you to address me on that a little bit when we come back from the break. Let's take a break now, and we continue that conversation with Advocate Busiwe Mukhwebane.